While I was still in college and at Parsons New School in New York, I began assisting a lot of fashion photographers. I'm not going to say the names, but yeah, I guess that was really my start. That was really my background. So specifically fashion editorial work, and then eventually portraiture, and then I just slowly moved with the support of a French agency. I slowly moved from that commercial side to more documentary, personal kind of work. You know, in fashion and editorial work, there's always a reference, tear sheets that you base your work out of. Nothing is created. Everything is copied. Photographers these days especially use as references, visual references, successful photographers that have worked, in the good old 90s. And that wasn't really my thing. I wanted to be fully independent, and I wanted to be really recognized for the work that I wanted to do. I've been inside Syria already 4 times, along the border with Lebanon, in Idlib, and 3 times in Aleppo. The first time I was inside Syria, I kind of needed the support of other people to introduce me to whom I was interested in embedding or following. But then, as soon as you kind of understand the culture, the traditions, you embrace it, you learn it, and you try to make the best out of it. It was inside of Aleppo, and it was an extremely bad day of fighting. And me and a couple of friends had just retreated with FSA from one of the major front lines, and we wanted to see a little bit what the situation looked like in the back, and especially in the hospital. And there was one major makeshift hospital where most of the casualties were being brought, and we simply went inside and tried to, better understand, where the wounded were coming from and what were the wounds caused by. And as soon as I walked in, a pretty big, large caliber mortar hit not so far from the hospital, and the entire staff, the entire team just left. Meanwhile, while that happened, I still remember this. I still remember somebody, I don't know if they were screaming or a bunch of women were screaming, and they started carrying this wounded baby inside the hospital and brought him into a room and left him there. Doctors came back, and then another large caliber mortar hit pretty close, so the entire team went back out, and they left the baby inside the room with the father. The father, for some reason, I don't really know why, but I guess he couldn't stand seeing his child, crying and looking at his hands, bloodied hands. So he moved out of the room and literally fell on the floor, raising his left hand up in the sky and praying for God. And I waited a little bit. I really didn't know what to do because I really couldn't help the child. But he had a huge gash in his head from shrapnel. And I snapped a picture. I feel the world has related a little bit more to this picture because it looks like a Western baby. And whenever do we see images like those, I feel I had the duty to, I guess out of respect also, to just stick around and sit next to the father and wait it out and see how the child was going to turn out to be. The viewers, obviously, in a situation like that, the visual references were pretty scarce, so I tried to, put in the bed, the medical bed, and some elements in the background, but it wasn't easy. And also, I didn't really want to stick around that long, trying different shots. I just felt that it wasn't the right thing to do. So I think I took two shots, an horizontal and a vertical. And then I just went back to the father and sat with him. I wish they could start covering Syria more directly, instead of having these major news outlets that just go in for the day, snap their pictures, do their video interviews, and then leave the country. I find that probably one of the most disrespectful things that you can do to a society that's under that's under siege. And I feel that most of the work that other people have been doing, you know, peers and colleagues that also have won some prizes here at the World Press, have spent so much time inside Syria, and that's what made their work important and recognized. To be part of a situation, to be part of a conflict that doesn't belong to you, that you're not related to, you're simply a spectator, a guest. I mean, you have to think in the most respectful way as possible. You know, you don't just present yourself with a camera and start snapping pictures. I mean, this might sound very basic and very proper, but you do introduce yourself. You do take the time to meet people, to make friends, to gain their trust. And then once that happens, you'll be part of them, and they won't notice you. And you know, the fact that you respect them will mean that they will respect you.